Welcome to the Home-Centered Life podcast, where we seek to slow down, opt out of anxiety, and live an unhurried life. We're so glad you're here.
Journey alongside us as we learn about homesteading, homemaking, and living a more simple, home-centered life. Because we think the richest life possible is centered around the home.
Welcome back to the Home-Centered Life podcast. We're so glad you're here. So today we're going to talk about the Sabbath and what that is, what it looks like to us, and kind of what it does in our daily lives, and hopefully what it would create space for in your daily life. If you're curious about what the Sabbath even is, we're going to dig into that, our best definition of it, and also how maybe you can implement your own version of a Sabbath in your life.
Love it.
Love it.
We're recording this right before
Yes.
we disconnect for our Sabbath.
Yes.
Also. So it's top of mind right now.
We're ready. We're excited.
So ready.
So ready. Yeah. So a lot of people do Sabbath on Sundays. We do ours Friday night. What?
I don't think a lot of people do Sabbath, period.
Oh.
So I don't know if a lot of people actually do the Sabbath on Sunday.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But
well,
we currently do ours sundown Friday to sundown Saturday.
Yes.
With a little icing on the cake after sundown on Saturday. So it's kind of like a 36-hour Sabbath in some ways.
Yeah. Yeah. So what even is the Sabbath to you? I mean, there's a biblical definition.
Mm-hmm.
There's our definition, which I think is somewhat biblical. I mean, I don't know. We're trying, but yeah. What do you think?
Yeah. So if a person is listening to this and they're a person of faith, and that could be Jewish or Christian, I don't know where the Sabbath shows up in other faiths, so I'm not going to try to speak to that. But the word Sabbath sounds religious. And so if you're a person of faith, you can run with that word. I have often described it to people who are not religious as a day of disconnect. And technically, if you're a scholar, you'll be like, that's not the same thing. Like, yes, correct. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
10 points for Gryffindor. But I think it works well enough as an approximation of what we mean by the Sabbath. So we could call it the Sabbath. If that word resonates, we could just call it a day of disconnect.
Day of rest.
A day of rest. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. But it's all those things. For us, it's a day of disconnect. For us, it's a day of rest.
Yeah.
For us, Sunday wouldn't make sense to be the Sabbath because church is not restful for us. Yeah. So that's kind of what we mean when we say the Sabbath. But I think when we first started learning about just even the concept of taking a day of disconnect for a Sabbath, I remember somebody saying Christians don't actually believe in the 10 commandments. They believe in 9 commandments and one suggestion. And the one suggestion is the Sabbath. And if you look at the 10 commandments, it is all pretty serious stuff.
Yeah.
And it's so weird that the Sabbath is in there, and so much weirder that we don't even pay attention to the fact that it's in there, right along with
really
like
does.
Theft and adultery.
Yeah.
It's like,
it feels optional.
So
most people feel
I think I started digging into it, or not I started, but like it like grabbed a hold of my attention when it was phrased like that. Like, oh yeah, interesting. Why would it be placed right in there with adultery and theft and things like that? But in our day and age, at least in the realm that I grew up in, it's not at all thought of to be on the same tier as adultery and theft and those things.
Yeah.
And so I really resonated with that observation. 9 commandments and one suggestion.
Yeah.
And it's actually not even a suggestion for the most part. We just literally don't even talk about it, which is part of the reason why I'm excited for this episode, just to talk about it.
Yeah.
And kind of our journey, where we've come, what it looks like now.
Yeah.
And maybe some helpful thoughts to just process through in your own life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Yeah, it's been a journey for sure. I think I'm trying to remember how many years
Continues
it's
to
been
be.
now
Yeah.
that we've been actively practicing the Sabbath. It's been like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, probably, maybe more.
More. Yeah,
More,
for sure.
yeah,
It's like 7.
7. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because for the first 3 years, about the first 3 years, it kind of sucked actually.
yeah. So this is an encouragement to all of you that feel like it's
Yeah.
hard. It can be really hard.
Which is crazy
Mm-hmm.
to think about a day of rest as being sucky.
Yeah.
And this is one of the biggest things that I learned from
Mm-hmm.
attempting to observe the Sabbath.
Yeah.
I think attempting is probably a good word, but
Yeah.
I think the assumption is rest is easy. I don't think that's accurate.
Yeah.
And I think the only way we could think that it's easy is if we never do it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you try to rest on a regular basis, I'm not talking about like falling into bed exhausted and falling asleep in 3 seconds. I don't mean that. I mean like actually taking a day or even an evening or even an hour to just like, hey, I'm not going to look at my phone. I'm going to do something that's, a little bit disconnected and restful, whatever that is for you.
Slow down.
Yeah. So it can be an hour, it can be an evening, an afternoon. For us now, it's about 36 hours. But at first, it was weird and hard and
uncomfortable. For sure.
And it wasn't even because we were like such go people. It was more just like, okay, it's supposed to be restful, but like, what does that even look like? Because we're not the exact same person, but we do want to do it together.
Yeah.
And so the things that I was wanting to do, especially at first, were not the same things as what you were wanting to do at first. And so like processing through that, we didn't even have kids at the time. It was just like, but processing through and sticking with it.
Yeah.
I think my expectation was the minute we like turn off our phones and sit, it'll just be like,
Yeah.
And I don't think it is that way.
Yeah.
But we stuck with it kind of sucking for like 3 years. And that I think is like the one thing we did right.
Was just
we
kept
didn't give
showing
up.
up.
Yeah, we didn't give up.
Yeah.
Because I think most people would attempt it and be like, yeah, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's go back to the 10 Commandments thing real quick.
Yeah, totally. It's good.
So I think part of the reason I think we stuck with it, or at least I wanted to stick with it, is because of that mindset shift. Was like, this is one of the 10 Commandments. That's a little bit different than just like, it doesn't really work for me, or I'm too busy, or whatever the thought process, which I totally would have thought before thinking of it as like one of the 10 Commandments, and also the example God set after creating the literal universe.
Yeah. Yep. It's a big one.
So we had to stick with it.
Yeah. It is crazy to look back and realize that we've been practicing it for that long, and also remembering those uncomfortable years, because now it feels so natural. But for those of you that are just like beginning to explore this idea, it's okay if it feels uncomfortable, because it really can be, because it's basically, it's pushing back against the constant flow of life and the like all of the inputs that we get every single moment of every single day. And it's saying like, we're going to stop for a minute. And that feels hard and awkward. And I remember when you said like, we should just be able to like shut off our phones and sit in a room. There's that quote that I always get wrong, but it's like, all the world's problems would be solved if we could just sit in rooms by ourselves or something. Is that how it goes?
Pretty close. Yeah. Blaise Pascal in I don't even know how you say pensees. I've never even heard somebody say it. I've just read it. He said the origin, something like the origin of all the world's problems stem from people's inability to sit in a room by themselves.
Yeah.
And I think, so again, like if you're not a person of faith, there's tons of research on how important this is, like from a neurobiological standpoint. You can look at neuroscience and Dr. Amishi Jha, or you can look at productivity research and Cal Newport. You can look at ritual and read like Casper ter Kuile. You can look at it from whatever angle you want.
Yeah.
The answer is the same.
Yeah.
We need margin. We need space. We need to disconnect, if only to remind ourselves that the world does not fall apart when we stop holding it all together ourselves.
Yeah, that's good. That's
and
good
I've noticed a freedom in myself that a lot of my clients don't have, partially because they are holding, like single-handedly holding everything together.
Yeah.
And because they never step back, they can start to assume like the only reason this thing's working is because I'm like right there every single moment. I used to think this more, and I see it in people who don't disconnect on a regular basis, the sort of underlying belief that they have to single-handedly hold everything together. And I think one of the things the Sabbath taught me, at least, is that that's not true. You can turn off your phone for 36 hours and nobody notices.
So for me, one of the most helpful definitions was from Bridgetown Church, and they talk about having like 4 pillars to the Sabbath. So they talk about stopping, resting, delighting, and worshiping. So I guess it can be like 1, 2, 3, 4. But yeah, I'd be curious to hear what's your thoughts on if someone wants to get started with the Sabbath. Where do you think they should start?
I would recommend treating it as 1, 2, 3, 4, like you just said. I don't think you can rest if you haven't stopped. I don't think you can delight if you haven't stopped and rested. And I think most people, if they keep a Sabbath at all, they just hang on to the worship part. But worship without stopping and resting and delighting is hollow to me. And that's more or less what I grew up with. You can still pull off a facade of worshiping, even if you're go, 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 exhausted beyond exhausted, and not delighting. I mean, dead on the inside. I mean, we were just talking about, an experience with a worship team. It was just like, they're literally singing the phrase like about joy and God is so good. But you just look at them, you're like, there's nothing there. There's no life there. There's no joy there. And I think it's less to be legalistic. It's more to be hopefully helpful, that I would say going in that order. And then almost like watching the effect it has on the worship that you do engage in, if you're going to hang on to that part of it. I think the other reason I would go in that order too is because especially those first 3 things are universal, whether or not you're a person of faith. Stopping, resting, and delighting. Like that could be a meal together where you actually chew the food and taste it. That could be delighting. So that's what if I was going to break it apart into like a step-by-step process, that'd probably be what I would recommend.
No, that's good. I think I changed my answer. You convinced me that that's actually the way to go. But my main thought is, and I'm curious for those of you listening, like someone's like, okay, I am one of those go, go, go people. Like, how do I stop? And I feel like that's a question we had. And because if you're so used to the like just constant motion of life, the stopping is, I feel like, going to be the hardest part. And I think, so it's like, where should someone start? If they want to stop, where do they start?
I think that is, because earlier you were going to say it depends. That is where I would say it does depend. Because I hear people say, I like to keep busy. And if that's how you're feeling, like, I love this pace of life, then my answer would be different than it would be to somebody who's like, no, I'm totally exhausted. How do I get off? I would have 2 totally different answers.
That makes sense.
To the person who likes it this way, like they're go, 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 and they love it. There's at least 2 things I would say. One is, you might love it. Your spouse and your kids might not. And you might have this image of like in the Old West when somebody would fall off their horse, but their foot was caught in the stirrup. You might be the horse and your family might be the the cowboy, the cowboy getting dragged behind the horse.
Mm.
So you might like it,
Yeah.
but it's not about just you.
Yeah. That's good.
And I would say I have yet to meet a person who says that, who isn't dragging their whole family along with them, except the Hormozis. They seem to both like it, and they have no kids. So, okay, fine. But in general, people who are like, no, I like it. I like this pace. But you look at their spouse, and their spouse has bags under their eyes.
Yeah.
And their kids are like, we haven't had dinner together since we were like 6 months old.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I challenge that a little bit, because a person with enough self-awareness and others' awareness should be able to look at their family and be like, okay, I like this, but it's hurting my family.
Yeah. Is this best for?
The other thing I would say is, to somebody who genuinely believes that they like that pace, I would say you don't actually. You're addicted to the pace. That's different. And there's a tremendous amount of research on urgency addiction, becoming actually addicted to adrenaline and cortisol. So I don't think you like it. I think you're addicted.
Yeah. I think they have a new term called hurry sickness.
Hurry sickness, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hurry sickness is one of the things. Yeah. And if you look at, again, this is one of those things where it doesn't matter which lens you look at it through, the answer is the same. One of the things that like reached out and grabbed me originally was in the book, Your Brain at Work. David Rock talks about the research on the cognitive capacity of people who are always going, always on, is approximately the same as though they had smoked 2 joints of marijuana. So when people say like, I like this pace, I like the go, 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 you're basically showing up stoned to life.
Yeah.
So that's why, my answer to like somebody who's like, well, I don't want to take a Sabbath, I like this pace. First of all, I don't think you do. I think you're addicted. And second of all, I don't think your family does. I think you're dragging them along with you. And third of all, it's diminishing your cognitive capacity to the tune of like 2 joints of marijuana. Now, our culture praises that attitude, and so people will get away with it, but not indefinitely. I think there's eventually consequences. There's consequences now, just because you're showing up at less than your 100% version of yourself cognitively. But I think there's long-term consequences as well from that hurry sickness and that urgency addiction. So I would challenge that. Somebody who's like, no, I want off. I don't want this anymore. Somebody who's ready to get off the merry-go-round, my answer would be totally different as far as like, because I think the person who thinks they like it, until they realize that they're hurting themselves and their family, I don't think we're going to like give them a tactical, practical step by step. First, they have to realize like, oh, this is super unhealthy for me and my family.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
For somebody who wants to get off, I think starting small.
I think,
Pretty much always. And it will depend on like what feels small to you. If putting your phone, not even turning your phone off, but just like putting in another room for 1 hour once a week, if that feels big to you, then that's probably where you're going to start. It might even be 15 minutes at first. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
I was talking with one client, and I'm talking about staff having their phones when they're on the floor serving customers. I was like, yeah, pretty much is standard that's not allowed. And they were like, well, not having my phone on me gives me a panic attack, so I have to keep it on me. It's like, what an interesting takeaway. Not having your phone gives you a panic attack, so you have to keep it with you. I would say that's not quite the right takeaway, or not the most helpful takeaway. I would say if not having your phone on you causes a panic attack, then some exposure therapy, like setting it down, walking away for a little bit, is probably going to be necessary.
The bottom line in this whole conversation is to start small, because we're, whatever we said, 7 years in now, and it feels second nature, but that's like any habit. You have to start really small, and whatever feels attainable for you is the best place to start. I think also this conversation can look different if you're practicing Sabbath on your own, like as a single person, or if you're married with multiple kids, because, ours, like we said, it looks different today than it did. So I think one of the things about Sabbath that is beautiful, that now I love, is it creates space to dream and to delight and to find joy again. If we're living just so head down, nose to the grindstone all the time. And I think, again, that will look different for every person, but part of the process of Sabbath too, of learning how to Sabbath, how to rest, is like, it's like a rediscovery of the things that bring us joy. And so that's almost another good place to start. It's like creating space, maybe even before you start trying to practice Sabbath. Like, what do I love to do? Because I feel like I remember in the beginning, I was like, what even brings me joy? Like, what do I delight in?
Yeah.
Like, what does worship look like? And so asking some of those bigger questions can also be a good place to start, because and I think it's part of it is experimentation, but now we can walk through kind of what ours looks like. But that for me was really hard. If if your day to day is so full and busy, usually we're not, as a culture, taking like lots of time to just like, I'm going to just do something that brings me joy for 12 hours. And so I think it's like, again, like, what does that even feel like? What does that look like? So it was a lot of hit or miss for us, a lot of trial and error for a while. So, and then, again, like, what was it like for me? And then what was it like for you? And then we had to figure it out as a couple. And now, adding kids onto that is a whole different ball game, Yeah. So we can dive into kind of like what ours looks like, just to give an example, like a skeleton outline for people that are like, oh my gosh, this like blank page in front of me. Where do I even begin? Yeah. So like we said, ours starts on Friday night. So we do, I'll start, and then you can fill in whatever I forget. So, again, in this season with 2 young kids, where we have a meal, we always have a meal together, a sit down meal. I try to light a candle and just like do a little prayer. But before we had kids, I feel like I'd make like fancy dinner, and now it's like, we just have dinner together. Whatever the food is, we try to eat good food. One of the things I remember John Mark Comer, the pastor, said was like, for them, I think they eat out for one of the meals or something. But then he talked about like, this is where we like go all out with food, like eat as much as you want. You kind of like have as much dessert, like whatever, like the foods you love, like that's part of delighting, is like, I'm going to like eat really well. And so I think, your meal in particular can be a great place to start. And then we choose basically starting around 7-ish p.m. on Friday night, kind of like respond to the texts or messages that we need to. And then it's like phones are off, and that feels comfortable to us now. When we first started, we did have a conversation with like family members, just to like, hey, just so you know, this is what we're going to do. And I remember some people being like, what happens if, blah, blah, blah. And, so we had those kinds of conversations, but now people are really used to it. They're like, oh yeah, that's Michael and Christina. Like, people know where we live. They like, if they need to, like, they can come over to our house, like if something's going on. But
and how many times have there been emergencies when somebody had to get a hold of us in 7 years?
Zero. Yeah.
It's one of those things that, well, what if? It's like you can live in the what if fearful, but it's just super unlikely that something will happen in that tiny sliver of time. And if you're really stressed about it, you can get a second cell phone for super cheap and give everybody that number, or get a landline again. There's options.
Totally. For sure.
Dr. Peter Attia calls it his bat phone. His wife and his daughter have the number. That's it.
Yeah. So the phone is kind of that separate conversation. But the other thing we do on Friday nights is we don't do any screens. Like we don't, after the kids go down, we don't do a movie. Usually it's like honestly, by the time Friday night rolls around, because
Mm-hmm.
it's like we've lived a whole like work week of life, we're like, let's eat dessert and sit on the couch together and then go to bed early.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
always, sometimes we'll play a game, like, but lately it's been like dessert in bed. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So it can look, again, for different people, it can look like different things, but that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
how we start Friday night. And then
Mm-hmm.
Saturday morning, kind of like, what would you say? How does our like Saturday sort of look?
Yeah, I like that you wrote sorta sleeping in.
Yeah.
We used to sleep in.
Used to.
Kids make that a little bit different,
Yeah.
but generally, a more relaxed morning, um,
Mm-hmm.
and the long walk together as a family. And
Mm-hmm.
this is one of those things where it kind of goes back to things we talked about before. But when we say prioritizing togetherness or prioritizing the story that we're writing,
Mm-hmm.
like as a couple, um, going for walks is an example of that to me,
Mm-hmm.
because it's more something that is Sabbath for you
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
than it is for me. And if I were to just focus on myself and just ask myself what's restful
Mm-hmm.
for me, it wouldn't be a walk. It would
Mm-hmm.
be sitting in my study reading a book or something
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Yeah.
But that's why I think prioritizing togetherness is so powerful, and writing a story together is so important
Yeah.
to decide on.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how we're going to think about this?
Mm-hmm.
Um, because then when the question is like, oh, are we going to go for a walk as a family? The answer is yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Um, and so we generally do that. The time frame seems variable in this season, but
Mm-hmm. So
um,
yeah, it's usually
but
like,
like an hour and a half
yeah, ish. Yeah.
ish.
We used to do like long
Usually,
hikes.
yeah, usually more than 30 minutes,
Yeah.
usually not more than 90 minutes. So,
Yeah. And I think for me, what I love about like doing a walk together is, um, one, it's like now our kids know like this is just a part of what we do. But
mhm.
for me, especially, it creates that extra room and breathing room to dream. Like that's when I feel like we have some
Yeah.
really good
Hmm.
conversations about
Hmm.
things that aren't just in the day to day life.
Yeah.
And speaking of conversations, one thing that we have chosen to
I
do.
thought you were going to be like, I need to talk to you about something. Oh.
One thing we have chosen to do is not talk about certain things on the Sabbath.
Oh, yeah.
That's been a muscle we've had to strengthen over time, and we're not perfect at it for sure, but
Yeah.
like, so when we talk about like having conversations on the walk, it's like, so it's just like us and our kids in the wrap and the stroller,
Hmm.
and we talk about like our dream house. We talk
Yep.
about homestead dreams. We talk about
Hmm.
like life goals.
Yeah.
We don't talk about
Hmm.
things that cause anxiety, like finances or work, like day to day work stuff. Um, so I haven't been perfect at that in the past.
Yeah.
Because sometimes for me, it's like, oh my gosh, there's just time to like breathe and think. So
Right.
then all these things come up, like, oh, I forgot to tell you about this thing in
Right.
the finances. But
Yeah.
in general, that's something we avoid talking about because
Yep.
it's not life giving. It's not Sabbath.
Yeah. And even if you don't bring up any of those things, one thing that sometimes happens, and not so much lately, but this used to happen a lot, especially if I was go, go, go the whole week,
Mm-hmm.
that walk especially would be like the first time I had any mental space, and a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff would just like come up
Mm.
out of nowhere. This is part of the reason, going back to like rest can be hard.
Yeah, that's good.
Because
That's a good
sometimes
point.
if you've been going for so long and you finally stop,
Mm.
a bunch of stuff might come up that kind of was getting tamped down a little bit.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And or just like thoughts or things things you haven't felt or thought about in forever are suddenly like, hey, remember that time in high school when you did this and you felt like an idiot? Like, wow, because you actually had that, you have mental space
Yeah, that's
for the
so
first
true.
time. And a lot of times your brain will just like offer up stuff to fill that space.
Yeah.
So there've been walks where you didn't bring up anything.
Mm.
And I just started thinking about things that made me anxious, and it like started to cycle downwards.
Yeah.
So that's been, speaking of, a muscle to
That's good.
work on.
Yeah.
So this is part of the reason why but I still think it's healthy. I still think it's important to create those spaces, but it's hard.
It is.
It's just such a weird thing to say,
is.
like, rest can be really hard.
Yeah.
Stopping can be really hard.
That's like maybe a good place to just like pause and highlight on this, because like for those of you that like are just starting this journey, it is going to feel really weird. And we're only saying that because we've been through it and know, and we're on the other side, but to stick with it, like that's the best encouragement, and to know that you're not alone in feeling those feelings. So so we do our longish walk, and then we do like a family brunch. You make us eggs and some sort of sourdough pancakes or whatever we're feeling, something fun. And then usually it's nap time for the kids. So like there's a few hours, before we had kids, I was like, okay, eat a bunch of food and then we can do whatever we want with the rest of the day. And now there's the like, okay, nap time. But that kind of creates parameters where during nap time, we've sort of worked it out where we sort of split it like half and half, like we'll each try to nap, and we'll each try to like do something life-giving, like you read a book, or I go for another walk by myself, or I work in the garden, or you work on a project or something like that. And so that's sort of that rhythm that we found. And even with having kids, that's worked pretty well. We don't have as much time now to do whatever we want that we did before, but it's still good. And we still try that. And and then after kids are up, it's just sort of a relaxed afternoon. Like in the summer times, it's usually like, hey, let's go back outside and do some homesteading stuff together. In the winter, it's mostly just been like the kids eat a snack and we just hang out together, and our daughter goes in the playroom and we play together, and then it's dinner and bed for them. And then we have chosen, we don't always do this, but we watch like a part of a movie. We can't even handle a whole movie. We just are too tired to finish the whole thing. But we always make a big batch of popcorn and watch a movie. And we are very picky about like the movies we choose to watch, like because we also know the effect that those can have on us. So something generally lighthearted and fun, and it's usually like an hour to an hour and a half, and we're like, okay, getting ready for bed. So so that's kind of a general outline. And you guys can ask us more questions if you need to about what that looks like. But more is just to say, like, this is what we do. And it could be like you hear this and you're like, I hate all of that. So start wherever sounds good to you. That's really the goal in this. So this is a big conversation, I feel like, and I think we could talk about this for a whole nother hour. So I think we should do another episode at some point, maybe Sabbath part 2. But this is kind of where we've started. And I think just to add into, like, we didn't talk much about worship. We are people of faith, and wherever you're at on that journey is okay. So sometimes I think a lot of the way I've found worship to look in this season is very individual, like some time in prayer and some quiet time and space with God is about what my worship looks like. Sometimes we will do like you'll play the guitar and we'll do some songs together as a family. So that might be an area we can grow in our own Sabbath rhythm. So that it could be, it can definitely look different for different people. So
you called it a journey before, and I think that's a helpful way to think about it. We're not making this episode because we have it 100% figured out. But we also haven't done nothing. It's been 7 years of learning and growing. And the one other thing that we do, when we do it, changes week to week, but we generally either Friday during dinner or Saturday during our brunch, we'll review our family guiding principles.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
We'll do a whole episode on that. That's just a little side note. It usually works its way in there either during one of the meals. Just to kind of remind ourselves, like, what are we doing here?
Where are we going?
So that it's not just a pause for pause's sake, but also a time to like kind of reorient, like check the map and be like, are we headed the right direction? Are we going where we want to be? Especially because so much of the walk conversation is usually around dreaming. reviewing our guiding principles either before or after that is helpful.
Yeah,
So
that's good. Good reminder. Yeah. So I think this is a good starting point for those of you that are, again, just curious about this whole idea of Sabbath.
Yeah.
My encouragement to you again is to start small. To start with where it doesn't feel too scary. Like, again, starting small can be an hour without your phone. And I'd encourage you too, if it feels scary to think about, like, what do I even love to do? One question that people have like presented is like, what did you enjoy doing when you were 5 or 6 years old? Like, and that for me was like, oh, I loved to dance. And so usually, like, on the Sabbath, I'll create some space to dance, or like, or what was a hobby that you had that you haven't practiced in a while. So, like, creating space for some of those things, again, can be scary to answer those questions for ourselves, especially as adults, because we're told we can't play and we can't delight and we can't be fun. But like, I think maybe those are a couple good encouragements to start with.
Yeah. And to piggyback on that, because I don't think this is original, but I don't hear anybody talk about this. You might sit down to try and brainstorm, like, what things are life-giving? What things do you enjoy? Or even, what did I enjoy when I was 6 years old? And you might draw a blank. I actually think most people draw a blank. And I get pretty frustrated with, it's not that, like, follow your heart is not good advice, but I think a lot of people try to do that and they're like, well, what if my heart is saying nothing at all? Because a lot of life is kind of steamrolls that stuff out of us. I don't think we're not Moana. Like, the sea is not calling to all of us. Some of us, I think most of us, try to listen to, like, what is calling me? And they're like, I have no idea. I've spent 30, 40, 50 years ignoring that.
Yeah.
So there might be a time where you do try to stop and pause and ask those questions and just be like, I have no clue.
Yeah.
And if that's your experience, if you know exactly, like, the 5 or 6 year old version of me, I don't know, but the 11, 12 year old version of me was like, oh, I love to read fiction, like Star Trek novels specifically.
Yeah.
And so now I'm reading basically books like that right now.
Yeah.
So I figured it out eventually, but if you don't have a ready answer, then experimentation is probably going to be in order, and that's okay. If you're like, I have no idea what I enjoy. It's like that Julia Roberts movie, The Runaway Bride. It's like, how do you like your eggs? Like, she has no idea. She has to try all the different ways to figure out how she likes her eggs. So there might be that might come up for you, but I think that's really normal. I think it's way more normal than Disney would have us think. I think Disney portrays us all as like these characters that know exactly what's calling to them, and they're just being, held back from that by some outside force. Some people are like that. I think most people are like, there's no outside force. I just don't know.
Yeah. That's so
and I'm
good.
too busy to figure it out.
True.
So that might be what comes up for you if you do decide to pause.
Yeah. So again, we're open books as far as like questions that you have.
I think our next episode will probably be based on questions that we get.
Yeah.
If that makes, I think that could be really helpful. Sort of a Q&A episode on the Sabbath. Sabbath part 2. Your questions answered.
Yeah. So again, we're just glad you're on the journey with us, and hopefully this is helpful to you. And it's okay to feel scary, but we're here to walk alongside you in it.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today for our conversation around the Sabbath.
We hope you found it both helpful and encouraging. And if you'd like this episode, we would love it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's a great zero-cost way to support this podcast.
You can also find us on Apple and Spotify and leave us up to a 5-star review. One of the amazing things about the world we live in is the fact that you can help us live a home-centered life just by leaving a review and subscribing.
We look forward to connecting with you again soon. And until next time, thank you so much for journeying with us as we seek to live a home-centered life. Okay.